Hello, I'm Alison Rendall. Today I thought I would talk you through the process of boarding, which is what we do in Shetland to finish off our knitted garments. So boarding, also known as dressing, is the final step in the process. Once you've made something and washed it, then you need to board it. And what this does is takes it out again to the required shape and size. It smooths your knitting and takes away any unevenness in the loops and turns your knitting into a finished fabric, a finished smooth fabric. Shetland boards were often made by a family member in the past. There would always be somebody in the family who knew how to make all the boards. They were often made in driftwood, as well as there is a shortage of trees in Shetland, then every bit of wood from the beach would have been used. So I'm now going to show you my own collection of boards that I use all the time for my Shetland macking. But a lot of these boards mean a lot to me, apart from being useful. Many of them are made by my late father, and some of them are much older than that and have been passed down through the family, so they're important for that reason too. I think the oldest piece in my collection is my hat board, which is here. That was given to me lately by my uncle, and it belonged to his great-grandmother, so it's quite an old piece dating from the 1800s. So haps are traditional Shetland shawls. They were worn by women around their shoulders, and also all the babies were wrapped up in them. So I have a number of haps, but this one was made by my mother when my first child was born, so I wrap my babies in haps all the time. And I recently wore this one a few weeks ago at my wedding as part of my outfit, and it was really cozy to wear that October day. So in order to stretch a hap, a thread would have been threaded through all the peaks, and then the hap board would have been used, made into a big square like this, and all of the peaks would have been stretched out onto each of these pins just to give it a nice scalloped edge. I'll also show you my sock boards here. I have sock boards in small ankle socks, and then medium ones which are more mid-calf, and then I have large ones as well for the knee socks. So these are my Stourborough socks, and if I was going to be boarding them, I would be using the mid-calf boards, and then you just take them when they're damp, slide them on, and then let them dry like that, and it just really gives you a good shape for a sock. And then these are boards that I use for smocks. These are just plywood boards, and these were actually the last thing that my dad made for me before he died, and they weren't up to his usual standard because he wasn't feeling very well at the time, but they're very treasured by me. He made them for my smocks, so this is how I would board a smock. Again, it just gives it a good shape. And then I have a vast collection of glive boards here, and I love them all. They're all different. I have a couple here made by my late father, and then I have much older ones. And I would just like to show you these ones, which are probably the oldest ones I have, and they are most definitely made with beech driftwood that would have washed up here in Shetland, I don't know when, a long time ago. And these have been repaired in more recently with bits of sellotape, so they're kind of falling apart, but they're beautiful old boards. So the process is that you put your gloves or your mittens on here to be shaped, and the fingers get shaped, and then the tomb boards or thumbs are separately. So you would take one of the tomb boards and slot that in to keep the shape of the thumb. And I have just a pile of tomb boards here, all different shapes and sizes. So as I said, I've got a choice of glove boards. Some of them, like these old ones, have holes in them to help with the drying, let the air go through. But today I thought I would use these ones to show you a glove, or a glive as we would say, on the board. So there you go, that's it shaped. And then I would use a tomb board just to slot in there and then let them dry like that. And then I would like just to draw your attention to these really super cute bairns gloves, tiny ones. I've also got mitten boards here for adults, and again for bairns. They're all slightly different shapes. And then this one is for a beret board, and it's been made obviously out of some old tea chest or a box or something. This, as I mentioned, is a beret board, also for a tam, and they would. You can also use a plate if you don't have a board for this. A small dinner plate is absolutely fine. And then my jumper board here to my left came from my grandmother, and I don't know actually where she got it from. It was maybe older than that, but that's one I use all the time for my Shetland Ganseys. And then I wanted to show you my hat board. Everybody asks me all the time what's the best way to shape a hat, and I shape mine on a pudding bowl, and this is where we no longer have driftwood. I just have a very cheap plastic pink bowl, which is very amusing when I show people this is how I board hats. So this is my infamous pink plastic bowl, which is the perfect shape for a hat. I actually have 3 of them. They're in a nest and set, a small, medium and large. And the large one I can use for bigger men's hats. And then I have a small one as well. But this is the most commonly used one, which is just a medium for ladies' hats. So I would board them like this. Try to get the ribbon underneath. And then just let the hat dry like that. And when you take it off the bowl, sometimes if the ribbon has become a little too stretched, then you can just steam it using a kettle or a steam iron and just pull the ribbon in again with a bit of steam. And finally today I'd like to show you my scarf boards, which originally belonged to my grandmother's cousin. So I have 2 of them here to show you today. The first one is simply made just a plank of wood with some holes cut in to aid the drying process. So that's very easy to make if you were considering to make one yourself. And the second one I have is more of a frame, and again the holes here would let the wind go through and help with the drying. So I have a cockleshell scarf here that's very much in need of a wash and a board. So the process would be to basically sew up the two long edges of your scarf with a thread, and then you would pull the scarf over the end of the board, and the idea is to stretch it to the width. So you can see at the moment this scarf is the width of the board, but what you're trying to do is stretch it all the way around, so it very much stretches it out and increases the width. And then what you get, this is the same pattern, a cockle shell, and it goes from like this, which is an unbordered one, to like this, which has been recently boarded, and it just gives a lovely finish. So thank you very much for watching today, and don't forget to click the subscribe button if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thank you.